Study coming out of the U.S. has established a possible link between temperature, hours of sunlight, and alcohol consumption. Data from 193 countries providing evidence that climate may have contributed to an increase in binge drinking and liver disease. Ramon Bataller is a senior author on the research and the associate director of the Pittsburgh Liver Research Center. He joins us today to talk about that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
What, when you looked at the details, surprised you the most?
Well, when we did first the study in the world, in almost 200 countries, we found a clear correlation between the weather, the colder weather, the less sun, and the drinking. When we tried to replicate that within a large country like the USA, we were surprised that the results were absolutely reproduced. The norther you go to the US, the more you drink. So confirming the tendency in the world is also found in a single country like US that has different climates.
So we can easily look at temperatures. We can easily look at how many hours of sunlight a city has or a community has. But how did you measure how much people are drinking?
Well, the data is based on official data for the World Health Organization that releases a report, a detailed report on how much people drink in every single country in the world. For example, in Canada and USA, the consumption is very high, and the World Health Organization thinks that 60% of the cirrhosis are due to alcohol in these two countries.
So when you look at a state like Florida, I'm going to use the U.S. as the example, compared to a northern state that's on the border, that's much colder, at the border with Canada, what was the difference? How much more are the people in the northern states drinking, let's say, than the southern states?
Kind of twofold. We found that in the northern states and in other countries, they drink as an average twofold more than they do in the southern or more warm country. I have to say that within the U.S., Florida was an exception. It was a warm state, but probably because the population of different other idiosyncrasy of that state, they drink more than of the southern states in America.
And what's the theory as to why people are drinking more in the colder weather climates?
Yeah, we have been thinking of why this happens. There are different potential reasons. The number one is maybe when you are really cold, alcohol increases your sensation of warmth, and maybe you drink more liquor to feel a little warm and don't feel so cold. The second thing is that maybe when you don't have light, you have vitamin D deficiency that drives to depression, and there's some data showing that vitamin D deficiency can drive also addiction. So maybe the low sun, don't being exposed to the sun, predisposes you to alcohol intake. That is something that needs further research, but it's very interesting, and there is for sure some site for action here for trying to supplement vitamin D or have some artificial light in people with more susceptibility to drink heavily.
So, Ramon, I know there's been research that casts doubt on your particular theory. What do you say to the research that shows, for example, in Europe, that there are more alcohol is consumed in places like Ireland and Scotland and, well, the UK in general, compared to Sweden or Finland, which are more northern countries? Yeah,
so obviously the geographical or the weather is one component. There are many others. There are a lot of cultural reasons. There's a lot of, for example, we have some data now that the more unequal is a country, the more you tend to drink. There's also advertisement. There's also genetic components. Some people are genetically predisposed to drink. So there are many components, and whether we found that is a new one, but for sure there are many others.
Got it. Ramon Bataller, so thank you for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.